Hello everyone, this is my second lecture. Yesterday we had discussed about one simple topic, that is semiconductor. Today we will be discussing the subtopics of semiconductors. I will give you a brief outline of whatever the topics we will be covering today. First one is charge carriers in semiconductors. Second topic is the types of the semiconductor, that is intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductors. And third topic is the subtopic of this intrinsic semiconductor, that is carrier concentration in intrinsic semiconductors. Fourth topic is extrinsic semiconductor. And here in this we have N-type and P-type semiconductors. Then fifth one is law of mass action. Sixth topic is direct and indirect band gap semiconductors. So we will take up with this charge carriers in semiconductor. What does this charge carriers in semiconductors mean is, the semiconductor have two types of charge carriers. We all know that is electrons and holes. The electrons are available in conduction band and it is an empty band, as I discussed in previous class. Holes are available in valence band. This is non-empty band. When a semiconductor releases an atom, whenever the semiconductor releases an atom, it releases an electron, which in turn acquires the positive charge. So, therefore, this semiconductor has the tendency to either to take the charge or to give away the charge. This is the main feature of semiconductor. So, what does this feature mean? Semiconductor, this feature is termed as, it has semi-stable state configuration, which means it can take the electrons or it can give away the electrons. So, when one electron, the positive ion of the semiconductor, easily it can take back an electron. It can take back the electron, it can give away the electron. So, this character of this semiconductor, it has shifting character, which means the nature of the positive charge of the semiconductor can be taken or it can be given away from one location to another location. Here location in the sense conduction band to valence band or vice versa, valence band to conduction band. So, the shifting nature of this positive charge, whatever the positive charge the electron exhibits, this nature is termed as hole. So here we can finally say that this hole is not a physical particle. It is not a physical particle, rather it is a shiftable positive ion. It is a shiftable positive ion. Shiftable positive ion of which atom? It is of semiconductor atom. This is about the charge carriers in semiconductor. Next we shall take up the second topic, that is intrinsic semiconductor. What does this intrinsic semiconductor actually means? These are pure semiconductors. Means it does not have any impurity. No impurities. Since it has no impurities, it is termed as pure semiconductor. And whichever category elements will come under this semiconductors means group 4 elements. Group 4 elements are termed as intrinsic semiconductors. And whichever the example we can give for this intrinsic semiconductor is silicon and germanium. These two are mainly used semiconductors in intrinsic semiconductors. Where we have used these materials, yesterday I discussed that fabrication and electrical isolation. We shall have a brief recall of why we are using this silicon. Because silicon is available in abundance. This is a quick review in order to make you all remember. And it provides electrical isolation. And it can withstand high temperature up to 200 degree centigrade. Next main point is it has smaller reverse saturation current, that is represented as ISAT. Next, this is about the intrinsic semiconductors. And one important thing we have to remember in this semiconductor is the band gap of semiconductors increases with increase in temperature. Therefore, the band gap which is represented as Eg is directly proportional to temperature. Whenever the band gap increases, the temperature also increases. And I discussed some of the important band gap of elements in yesterday's lecture. So we'll be discussing about the carrier concentration. Carrier concentration in intrinsic semiconductor. What will be the carrier concentration? The electrons and holes are equal. In intrinsic semiconductors, the electrons and holes are equal. Mathematically, it can be represented as the concentration, carrier concentration is represented as Ni. This is carrier concentration N, and this represents, I represents intrinsic concentration. So Ni square, this is equals to, both are equal, so we are taking square here, A into T cube e to the power of minus Ega divided by Kt. Here Ega is band gap of material, and at which temperature we are taking? At 0 Kelvin. And here K represents Boltzmann constant, T represents temperature in Kelvin. Here we can say in general, that is carrier concentration of intrinsic semiconductor is directly proportional to temperature cube 3 by 2. So from the above relation we can say that concentration of charge carriers increases with increase in temperature. Ni is directly proportional to T to the power of 3 by 2. Carrier concentration is directly proportional to the temperature. Whenever the concentration of this intrinsic semiconductor material increases, directly the temperature also increases. This is about intrinsic semiconductor. Next we shall discuss about extrinsic semiconductors. What does it extrinsic semiconductor means? It is not pure, means it is impure semiconductor. Why it is called impure semiconductor? Because these extrinsic semiconductors are poor in conductivity. In order to increase the conductivity, we will be adding some impurities to these extrinsic semiconductors in order to increase the conductivity we are adding. So there are some different materials for intrinsic semiconductors and extrinsic semiconductors. We will be discussing this later. The extrinsic semiconductors can be two types, that is N-type and P-type. This, depending upon this type of the impurities, we'll be adding this into the extrinsic semiconductors. The impurity can be either N-type or it is P-type. It is truly based on the energy band gaps and materials we are going to choose. So we shall discuss one by one. First we shall take up with N-type. This N-type impurity belongs to group 5 elements in transition table, which belongs to group 5 in transition table. So how are these N-type materials are obtained means the N-type, these can be obtained by using the group 5 materials of transition table. And this N-type, it is also called as donor type material because this always receives the material. It is also called as donor type impurity. Why it is called as donor type impurities means it has the tendency to donate the one electron or many number of electrons from their outer shell in order to acquire the conductivity. It has to acquire the conductivity as well as it has to match the configuration of the semiconductor. In order to match the configuration of the semiconductor, it will donate the electrons for the semiconductor. Whenever the small amount of energy is supplied to the semiconductors, the electrons are transferred. From where it is transferred? It is transferred to the donor level. And these conduction will always happens from conduction band to valence band. This is conduction band, this is valence band. Conductivity happens here. Next, whenever this conductivity happens means the semiconductor, the electrons are transferred from donor level to conduction level, it leaves behind the positive ions. It leaves behind the positive ions of the impurity atoms. It leaves behind the positive ions in the sense directly it refers to holes. How can we explain this using this energy diagram is like this. This is valence band, this is conduction band, and here comes a extrinsic semiconductor. Extrinsic semiconductor always lies near to the conduction band, means this is donor level ED, this is conduction level EC, this is valence band level. So we have to mention the band gap here, 0.01 electron volt for germanium. For silicon, 0.05 electron volt. And here comes the energy band gap. So the ions of the impurity of these atoms have the tendency to take away the electron. It has the tendency to take away the electron and they shift from the positive bound charge. Here I can find some examples of extrinsic semiconductor, particularly N-type semiconductor. Example of N-type or donor impurities. These are termed as donor impurities. What are those examples? Is phosphorus, which is mentioned as P, and arsenic. Finally, antimony. It is represented as Sb. In these three, this phosphorus is most commonly used. This is the very oftenly used donor impurity. Next, I will be discussing about p-type semiconductors. These p-type semiconductors can be obtained by doping with group 3 atoms. These group 3 atoms, for example, which are the group 3 atoms are boron, represented as B, aluminium, represented as Al, gallium, and indium. Next, these impurities are also called as p-type impurities or acceptor type impurities. N-type are also called as donor impurities. P-type are called as acceptor impurities. The impurities from these group 3 elements has the tendency to accept one electron at a time. These have tendency to accept one electron at a time from the neighboring atoms. And here the outer energy level lies close to valence band. Outer energy level lies close to valence band. We can see here in the energy diagram. This is conduction band. This is valence band. And this is represented as Ec. This is represented as Ev. Acceptor, and it lies near to the valence band. As usual, 0.01 electron volt for germanium and 0.05 electron volt for silicon. This is the energy band gap diagram. When this happens is whenever the small amount of energy is supplied from the semiconductor to the electrons which is in the valence band are transferred to the acceptor level. Here you can see when the small amount of energy is applied to the semiconductor here, the electrons from the valence band will jumps to the acceptor level, and whenever this jump from valence band to the acceptor level, it leaves behind the holes, means it leaves behind the positive ions, leaving behind the holes in valence band. So what happens is negative ions are stored in the acceptor level. Here it has negative ions. This is the energy diagram of p-type semiconductor. And here what happens is the ions of the impurity in this p-type semiconductor have no tendency to give away the electrons. So they form a negative bound charge. The one more important thing is the concentration of holes in valence band becomes more than the concentration of ions in acceptor band. So some of the examples which I have given is boron, aluminum, gallium, and boron is the most commonly used acceptor impurity. Many of the applications boron is used. Next, I'll move on to law of mass action. In order to understand the law of mass action, one must remember the equation N into P is equal to N into I square. What does this mean is the product of electrons and holes, which is equal to the concentration, which concentration I represents intrinsic concentration. Intrinsic concentration of semiconductor, where N represents the concentration of electrons, P represents the concentration of holes, and Ni represents intrinsic concentration. where here we can find two cases. First case is law of mass action for n-type material. Law of mass action for n-type material is given by, we have to replace this. For n-type material, we will be using Pn into N is equal to N into I square, where Nn is the concentration for electrons, Pn is concentration of holes. This is for n-type. So what does this n-type actually mean is donor type concentration, which means we can approximate this equation as Nn is approximately equal to donor concentration. So we can replace this Nn as Nd into Pn. This is concentration of holes is equal to intrinsic concentration square. So finally, rearranging this equation, Pn is equal to Ni square divided by donor concentration. This is the equation for n-type semiconductor. Next case is for p-type semiconductor. So for p-type semiconductor, we have to replace this electron concentration by holes concentration, that is Pp into Np. P represents holes concentration. The intrinsic concentration will be same, right hand side will be same, only the left hand side will change, where Pp is the concentration of holes and Np is the concentration of electrons. Next, for p-type material, concentration of electrons is almost equal to the donor concentration. So we can approximate this as Pp is approximately equal to acceptor. Why acceptor? P-type is termed as acceptor and N-type is termed as donor. So we are representing this as Nd, and for acceptor we are representing as Na. So we can replace this Pp by Na. Na into small np is equals to concentration, intrinsic concentration square. While rearranging this equation, shift this to down, Ni square divided by Na. This is the equation for acceptor. Equation 2, equation 1. These two equations are important. Next, we shall switch on to direct and indirect band gap semiconductors. What does this indirect and direct band gap semiconductor means? First we shall take up with direct band gap semiconductors. Direct band gap semiconductor, these are also semiconducting materials. What kind of semiconducting materials these are? Which means the electrons from the excited state, here is the conduction band, here is the valence band. The electrons which are in the conduction band will be jump directly to the valence band. This is called as direct semiconductor. Here we can represent like this also in order to understand clearly. This is conduction band and this is valence band. This is electron, means some radiations will be there while emitting. Directly the electrons will jump from conduction band to valence band. While jumping from conduction band to valence band, the electron loses the energy. The electron loses energy, which is equal to the band gap. We can find band gap in, while explaining I have told you about the band gap. Here instead of band gap we can represent this as radiation. So the energy of the radiation emitted by the semiconductor, which will be equal to the band gap of the semiconductor. Mathematically it can be represented as h nu is equal to Eg. We all know that Eg is energy band gap. And here h is the Planck's constant and nu is the frequency of radiation. We can arrange this as the frequency of radiation is also related to the velocity of light. How we can represent this as V is equal to c by lambda. This is termed as nu and it is called frequency of radiation, and c is velocity of light, 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second, and nu is frequency of radiation, lambda is wavelength of this radiation. Next, we can simplify this equation as hc by lambda is equal to Eg. We have rearranged the same equation. For nu, we have substituted. We can consider this as equation 1 and this as equation 2. Substitute equation 2 in 1. We will get equation 3. So, we can represent the lambda value as lambda is equal to 12,1400 divided by Eg angstrom. This is about direct band gap. And one more thing we have to include in this direct band gap is the direct band gap materials are used for the fabrication of LEDs. Where we have used this is fabrication of LEDs and fabrication of lasers. The important impurities which we are using here, that is direct band gap semiconductor, is we are gallium arsenide. Gallium arsenide is the typical example that will be used for direct band gap semiconductor materials, and it is also used for LED. Next we will jump on to indirect band gap semiconductor. In direct band gap semiconductor, there was a jumping of electrons from conduction band to valence band, emitting the radiation. Here what happens is the semiconductor in which the electrons jumps from conduction band to valence band. This is conduction band and here I can represent this as valence band. It will not jump directly to the valence band. Rather, first it will jump to some intermediate level of energy, and this is called as defect level. So it will first reach the defect level, then it will reach the valence band. So it is having the name indirect band gap semiconductors. In indirect band gap semiconductors, the energy of electron is lost in the form of heat. Whatever the jumping we can see here, in direct band gap semiconductor it was through radiation. Here it is through heat. So rather than, it can be also mentioned as photon, emitted heat or emitted photon. So what are the example we can give for this indirect band gap semiconductors are silicon and germanium are the two important indirect band gap semiconductors which are used. Gallium phosphorus is also an example for indirect band gap semiconductor, but it is used in the fabrication of LEDs. Gallium phosphorus is used in the fabrication of LEDs. So I'll be giving you some materials, important materials. Brief note, this is materials which will emit the color, respective colors emitted by LEDs. First we'll take up gallium arsenide. These materials are compound materials. Since there are mixing of two or more materials, it is termed as compound materials. Gallium arsenide will emit infrared light, that is red light. Gallium arsenide phosphorus, this emits red light. Gallium arsenide phosphorus, which has band gap of 0.85, it will emit yellow color. Silicon carbide will exhibit blue. Finally, gallium phosphorus, it will emit two colors, green and red. Today we have covered almost all the outline which I have given. So if you like my video, please like and subscribe. Thank you.